Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams and ACTN. My name is Steve David, I'm your host. Today we want to talk about our pre-show with Costa Rica, guys. We're going to play Costa Rica. So let's talk about Costa Rica. Let me introduce the panel. First, Narada Wilson. Narada, welcome.
Pleasure to be here, Steve.
Anthony Clark. Anthony, welcome.
Thank you. All right, welcome.
Larry Joseph. Larry, welcome.
Thank you, Steve.
And Alvin Henderson. Alvin, welcome.
Thanks again, Steve, for inviting me.
Okay, guys, I'm all tripping up because I'm so excited. We have to play Costa Rica, and we want to talk about how we're gonna get some points from this game because we didn't pick up any
Against USA.
Against USA. So let's see. Tell me, or let's help the coach on the selection of this team for the Costa Rica game.
Well, according to Clarky, we could leave Kenwin in America and send a ticket for you, Steve, and maybe that'll be the way forward.
My batteries are way dead. So, but we do have to find a way to get some points because we need it, and we've lost to the U.S. So now we're going into Costa Rica, which is high altitude as well. We have a little bit of high altitude experience from the USA game. So tell us, what is the plan for this game?
Well, I think the pre-game for the US, what we spoke about was the altitude and the effects it could have. I think we've surpassed that. We've had some of our better players only came in a couple of days before in the US camp. They would have probably gotten the right amount of time for the Costa Rica camp. So we should have everybody well acclimatized, prepared. We should have probably had a couple more of the substitutes maybe getting some experience on the pitch. But I think that should not be too much of a factor. What we are going into is a situation in Costa Rica at home where they've been picking up points and now they're hoping for a win to put them in more or less a driver's seat into the second half of the Hex games. So I think we're going to deal with a hostile environment, a country that is supporting their team into going to the World Cup, and with some players that are firing on all cylinders in the sense that, the Central American teams have been competing pretty well at this point in time.
And Costa Rica is a different animal, guys.
Yeah.
Costa Rica, Trinidad and Tobago against Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, we've never beaten them.
Never beaten them.
Never. I heard someone talk in the other day and say, oh, we've never beaten Costa Rica. I was lucky enough to be on a team, and Clarky was on that team as well.
The Gold Cup.
When the Gold Cup, yeah. I was the assistant coach there.
We beat them 2-1.
And we beat them 2-1 in the Gold Cup in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
A goal scored by
Alvin Thomas.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
So we have beaten Costa Rica, but never in Costa Rica. And what happens in Costa Rica is they come at Trinidad and Tobago in the first 15 minutes with all guns blazing. They try to blast us off of the field. And many of you would remember Earl Carter diving left, right, and center.
Spider-Man.
Back in the 89 campaign.
Back in the, yes. They're trying to combat the numerous shots that he was getting at goal. Especially now that Costa Rica has thrown away 3 points. They've thrown away 2 points by 2 points by having a draw against Panama yesterday. Yeah. Costa Rica is going to come with guns blazing. They would have thought that what their player who was sent off it was an injustice to them by the player, not the referee, because the player needed to be sent off. He sent a right cross to one of the Panama players while they were waiting on a dead ball situation. And he put his team that were in full control against Panama, he put his team in trouble to get
full points.
Full points or 3 points. And often that can be something that can upset the chemistry of a team. And I'm hoping that their chemistry is upset by that situation and we somehow can take advantage of it when we go there on Tuesday.
Well, I know I was part of a team previous to the strike squad that actually held Costa Rica to a 1-1 in Costa Rica. I think that may have been our best result at their stadium in terms of away performances. That was back in the day when Jack used to be selling our home games and you had to go and play a home game in our next country. So we actually had to play them twice in Costa Rica. Their home game and our home game. You know, yeah, they destroyed us in the first game 3-1, and in the second game...
So it was actually your home game?
Yeah. We actually scored first in the second game and held out till about 10 minutes and they equalized. And just as Alvin said, I mean, in the first 10 minutes of those two games, they were at us like, you know, crazy, you know. And they had some fantastic players back then. Technically gifted players, technically gifted. And if we look at their performance against the US when they beat the US in the earlier rounds of this campaign, they are they are a hard team to beat at home. And as Alvin said, they are wounded tiger having dropped points. So we may be on the receiving end of a backlash. My concern on the Trinidad side of things is how quickly those 11 players can recover in the short turnover. Right? I know we have all these modern recovery methods and whatever, and that kind of stuff. But you're still going back into a situation that mimics where you came from. So the question is now, where you would have gotten a little leg worry after 65, 75 minutes, most of those guys are going to start in that Costa Rica game that started against America. Will fatigue set in earlier? I'm just thinking, right? That will impact on our approach to the game. Whether Dennis, I'm almost certain he's going to go in with the same approach, which is let's hold first, see if we could absorb the pressure without conceding, and then we will play it from there. That's how I think he's going to approach it. I'm hoping that we don't have any additional injuries coming out of last night's games. We haven't heard any reports as yet, but you never know. You know, sometimes you don't get those news till 2-3 days after. We already have a very depleted squad, and in terms of attacking options, even less. We stacked with defensive players on the bench, right? So I'm waiting to see what the news is of the fitness of our players, but it is going to be really, really tough coming away with any positive result in Costa Rica.
I, being the optimist, understand the history of Costa Rica and Costa Rica. But I think that in this hex, we have gained our respect. Mexico, although winning, they were held to right in Trinidad, and right, I think we gained great respect there. The way how the US played the game right last week, they gave us that respect. And right, we need to understand that we have some very talented players that they respect. Joven and Plaza and
Plaza wouldn't be there.
right, Molino, sorry, right, Molino. And even if the coach decides to stick with Kenwin, they do have some sort of respect for Kenwin, right? And right, we need to take advantage of that, and hopefully, right, we do, and we come away with a draw. Right, much better a win in Costa Rica.
For me, I believe our team, I know Costa Rica is a tricky team, but I think our team may be slightly better prepared to deal with Costa Rica at this point. And I'm only saying that because I think the experiment was done with the US. I don't feel, I think the Costa Rica game is more of a running game. I think the fact that we have Aubrey David, who's played in Costa Rica and, you know, commanded a lot of respect while he was there. I think we would see a replacement there in terms of Carlos Edwards, probably not starting, and probably us giving Aubrey. And I think if that happens, we going back to our original formation where it may be 4 in the back. And then we have the likes of, you know, the Winchester and maybe Tristan Hodge, who play in Mexico at the moment and had their stints, which is, you know, a type of football that is more suitably adapted to the Costa Rican style of football.
And altitude.
Right? And I think in that case, we would see some changes. We may see more of the runners. And if the captain is fortunate to, you know, play on the team, I think he would have more support. And if he doesn't, I think we would see the likes of the Botswain maybe coming on, starting the game, because of the fact that we need to go out running at the Costa Ricans. Because we saw when, I think it was when Panama came to Trinidad, you know, they ran at us and they had us on our back feet for most of the game. And I think that is what the Central American teams you know, suited, because I think what it is, it's a Latin American type of play, but with a physique of like a Caribbean person. And I think Costa Rica is a perfect example for something like that.
I don't know how many of you guys saw the Costa Rica-Panama game after our U.S. game, U.S.-Trinidad game. But that was a bloodbath. And those guys were coming at each other. And I expect Costa Rica to do the same thing because they went 0-0.
Yeah.
So now they're looking for points. They need our points. So I think it's going to be very physical. They're going to come hard, and they're at home. And every time they play at home, they play hard.
Yes.
So
Now, Costa Rica, we played them before. Remember, we played them when Stephen Hart was the coach at the beginning of the X. And we've seen them play. I've seen them play a couple of times now. And actually, I would not go back. Rather, I will contradict you a little bit here.
Okay.
But I would not go back to our back four. Because I think our 5 system suits their system
Better.
because they like the 3 in the back with their 5 across the middle. They played it here against us with the two wide midfielders,
correct.
wing backs coming at us, and I feel that we need to play the same thing. Let's match them toe for toe in the system,
center,
but with different personnel.
Thank you.
With different personnel. I would play, I agree with you,
Yeah,
I would not play Carlos Edwards at 38 in 2 games, which he has been done in the past, the recent Panama and Mexico game. And on the left-hand side, we still have a young fella, Hodge.
Hodge, that's what I was saying.
Hodge is, I have seen
could be
Hodge
the
several
technically
times.
sound player.
He's technically very sound, left-footed, and he can go up and down that side, giving Jovan Jones now a chance to be in a more attacking role and giving him a chance to combine with Molino and try and get behind defenses a little better without having the responsibility of having to track back. Now, Costa Rica, if I was the coach going against Costa Rica, Brian Ruiz must not play in midfield. He is the captain. He is a technically gifted player. He has been CONCACAF Player of the Year recently. The player, he is a gifted left footer. He knows how to play the game. He must not be given room to play. We must allow him to give up the ball as quickly as possible, because once he's in possession of the ball and he gets a chance to turn,
things happen.
It's passes behind our backs for runners coming from all directions.
Yeah.
So the advice to the coach would be put somebody on him. Stay there for the rest of the night.
I always say, if you're playing against gifted players, I would rather play 10 against 10. Many people don't like to do it, 10 against 10. I see them leave Messi to destroy them again and again and never play 10 against 10.
Right.
And the people who play with Messi being man-marked, Messi doesn't like it like anybody or any other player. Let me play 10 against 10.
Let me hear you come in here, Larry.
Well, it will be interesting to see what personal changes Dennis is going to make for that game. I do expect Carlos to play, but I didn't expect him to play against Mexico, and he did, you know. So
Right, USA.
No.
Oh, Mexico.
Previous game, yeah. There are some things that you're not always aware of when you're outside of a camp. But the turnover being so short, I know, and especially with those 2 high-altitude venues, I think it would make good sense to have fresh legs. And you have Aubrey, who has Costa Rica experience, so you're not losing anything by bringing in Aubrey for Carlos, right? 5, which would mean we play 3 in the back and 5 across the middle, just to cancel out their 5, as Doc is saying. I don't know whether Dennis is thinking along those lines, but he has the personnel that he could do that, to play the 3 in the back and still have 5 across the middle to at least match Costa Rica's 5 there also. And at the same time, freeing up Jovan, as we have intimated previously, and give him more attack-minded options without too much defensive responsibilities, which is what we would expect, especially now coming against a negative result the other night. You need to at least give a better attempt to get some points on the board. You understand what I mean? So it will be interesting to see how many personnel changes Dennis goes for. I'm thinking Carlos should be one that should be made for probably Aubrey. I think Bato will remain. Cyrus, not too sure. In the middle of the park, well, we have George and Highland barring injuries. I think they would retain their places, right? And I think Nathan Lowe should retain his place too. He's one of the ones that gives us some attacking options. I think he would feel a lot better having a full 90 under his belt, being young to international football. I think he would come away from the US experience with a lot of confidence, you know, and hopefully we could see some of that confidence in that game. But just because of the short turnover, I believe that Dennis should make a couple of personnel changes just to freshen things up a bit.
But I don't like the 5 across the middle, 3 in the back. That as a striker, I would like that to play against, because I think there is spaces for you to run into.
Yeah, and like any system, there's flaws. Any system, there's flaws. Obviously, you would have to spend some time on the training pitch with that system. The coach will have to identify where the weaknesses in the system and how you counteract those systems. In that system, the weakness, of course, is the free spaces on the flank in the defensive third, because you're really marking your 18-yard with your 3 stoppers,
right,
and then advance of them is your 5 people across the field. But your 2 wide people in the 5 are usually wing backs.
Right.
So you have that defensive-minded attitude that when the ball breaks down, I have to look at my defensive responsibilities. Yeah, and of course you could negate that on the training pitch, where you could tell players, okay, as soon as the opposing team gets the ball, try to get close enough that they don't raise their head to be able to hit that 40-yard pass into that so-called free space. You know, of course, it's easy to do that on a training pitch and on a blackboard, and to actually do it on the game day calls for a lot of concentration, you know. But it's left to be seen if he would go with the 5 or if he would retain the same system. But I would love to see some fresh legs just to have the team fresh because of the short turnover.
Sounds like you want to say something, Clarky, but let me take a break now, and when we come back, I'll come back with you on what you have on your mind. I can see it. Viewers, we'll be right back after a short break.
But Costa Rica is going to play with 3, and they're going to be 5 across the middle. So, and they like to play those little triangles in the middle of the field. You're going to be outnumbered in midfield.
Yeah, it will still
and you'll be outnumbered in midfield.
Having to push up.
And on this
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Welcome back, viewers. Clarky, it sounds like you had something to say before the break, so let's have
understanding the opponent and understanding the personnel that we have. I would choose, if I was the coach, I would go to a 4-4-2 system. But with the 4-4-2 system, I will play 2 defensive midfielders side by side in front of the back 4. So it would be more or less like we have 6 players, but it also leaves us. And right with that, I am replacing Jovan Jones from the left back position and putting him in midfield and bringing on the left back that is. I would replace Carlos Edwards as well and bring on the other left back, right back. But however, I would play these 2 defensive midfielders side by side in front of the back 4 to give a little more structure, especially with the attacking midfielder that Costa Rica has, who's excellent. I think he is right now rated as the best player in the CONCACAF region. And I think that would be my approach to nullifying the attacking force, while still giving us the opportunity that when we win the ball, we have sufficient attacking players to move forward. We have 5 players going forward that will, that can create some opportunities for us.
So who would be your 2 forwards?
Yes, that is very important. I was about to ask that same question. Who would be your 2 forwards?
I would, because the coach understanding, if I was the coach, or if it is that.
Who would you play?
You have your system, so who would be your 2 forwards?
Right. Presently, I would use
Winchester?
Shannon?
Right, Shannon, right, Winchester, and
Boatswain?
right, Boatswain.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, and I would have right Molino and Joven Jones and right another midfielder.
Lewis.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Now, that's very important who you're choosing, because if in a situation that you are talking about where you have 4 and 2 defensive midfielders, remember Costa Rica is going to play with 3 and they're going to be 5 across the middle. So, and they like to play those little triangles in the middle of the field. You're going to be outnumbered in midfield.
Yeah, it will still
and
call
you'll
for
be
one of your wing
outnumbered in
backs
midfield.
having to push up.
And on this game, who controls the midfield is going to be dominant in the game. They like to play those little triangles in the midfield. They're going to outnumber you because just a pure numbers game. And you would have to drop one of those forwards back.
Definitely. I'm not saying that the right would remain out of the game. We still play very compact. But in terms of roles and how I manage the attack, I prefer right a side by side.
I think the only problem with that happening is it goes back to the personnel, because the problem is you're talking about 2 inexperienced strikers at that level, right? And then Shannon is not too much one of the most comfortable players in playing that situation where he has to drop back and now be running from left, right. And then Boatswain is a running type attacker, and I don't think he as well, because then you have to decide, does Shannon stay and Boatswain run?
No, Boatswain could come back.
Right?
He's very active.
I think for me that is why, but I understand the point with the 5. I think we go back to the 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3, because I think with that you have the 2.
What is it, 4-2-3?
Because you go in with Highland and George as the defensive midfielders, and then you have Molino, Joven, and
Highland.
Well, no. In this case, it may have been the Cato, but we don't have him, so we're going to use somebody else, most likely Nathan in that situation.
Who are you putting up front? The one?
That's where we go back with
Clarkey, number 1 striker.
The original plan, because it's really down to personnel. In the game when we played against China, we had the opportunity to bring Willis Plaza on. When you bring Willis Plaza on, you can't play 2 forwards because he's experienced enough. He can play as a lone striker, and he also can play as a runner to run off the ball for someone else.
Somebody we're forgetting, and I think I would try him in this game. I like him as a player, is Hassim Asir. I like him as a player. I think he can play the number 10 role. Now, Molino is playing that role, but Asir is a very busy player. He's smart. He can get in the goal scoring position, which is what I like from midfield. And I would like to see him at some point in time get, if not starting, get a considerable period of time on the pitch, especially as he hasn't played any previous game against the US. So I'd like to see him get at least 20 minutes.
And therefore you can push Molino up front.
Minutes. He
runs like Plaza. He plays that sort of.
He plays that with run striker, and he's a midfielder who can give you that extra number.
Correct.
But what do you do with Molino?
Molino can play
where he goes higher.
He's comfortable. He plays in his role for
with switching
Minnesota.
Sides and stuff like that, because
he goes wherever he wants.
That's a very good option.
And I think also what we have to give credit for is the technical staff in the sense for this particular game, that even if Dennis is not privy to a lot of the information, he has Stuart Charles on the bench, who has a lot of experience with playing against some of the Costa Rican teams because of his Club W connection. And if we have to even say, well, maybe the fact that Hashim has passed through the club and you have Hodge, maybe it's a possibility that he would indicate that these guys, have fitted well against some of those clubs.
Where do we start making these type of changes? I mean, is it as of this game, Costa Rica game, or do we wait to see how this ends before we start?
I think we need to freshen the team right now, and especially now that there's a short period of time for the next game. We need to freshen the team. We need to get younger, fitter players on the field of play, and we need to let's do something different so that we can see where we are. As I've said before, and I say it again, we are playing against Panama and Honduras for that fourth spot.
Correct.
I don't think that we are going to get points out of this Costa Rica match. Again, just like I said for the USA game, I thought we were going to lose the US game. With my analytical hat, with my Trinidad and Tobago hat, I was hoping that we'd get a tie. The same thing I would say for the Costa Rica match. I don't think we will beat Costa Rica. I hope we get a point, as Panama did. But as you said, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us in order to get 3 points.
So maybe then we should try for this game, at least, like you said, freshen up the team, put some extra legs. See, and we can have a look at them for Panama and Honduras down the road, who will be fighting.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, this is a great opportunity for Dennis to blood some of the other guys, At least they would bring enthusiasm to the performance. At least.
Correct.
You would see the enthusiasm. You throw somebody in who, the Hashim guy, who I don't think he has played much at senior level, if any at all.
No.
He's
played a couple of friends.
right,
one or
and
two
Nathan,
friendlies, yeah.
I think this would be his third or fourth cap at this level, So just getting some fresh legs in, just to add some impetus to the performance and some energy to the performance, and see how it goes from there. So you have a better idea as to what you could expect from certain players going forward to the other games. So I'm hoping he seizes the opportunity. Now, of course, it's easy for me to sit here and not have the pressure of being a coach to make these decisions. But it still doesn't change the fact that at international level, as a coach, he should be fully aware that at some point in time he has to use some of the people from his squad. And because of results, previous results, sometimes it presents itself when you could make certain changes without too much of pressure on you, which is where we are closely heading to.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah, So it will be nice to see some fresh, a different face on the starting 11 coming at you and on your television screen, number 42, Anthony Clark, you know what I mean? And just see how it pans out where that is concerned. I would love to see some new faces in that Costa Rica game. Yeah.
I think we have reached that position. I think if he goes back with his same personnel, if he goes back with Kenwin in front, if he goes back with the same team that he played in the US game, he cannot expect a different performance. He cannot expect a different result. I think he gives himself a chance when he puts the more the younger players, the more energetic players, the players who have played in high altitude situations. That's why I'll put Shandon there. He played in Mexico. He may be more acclimatized to high altitude right than the other players, and I can keep the Kenwin Jones and the other personnel to come on, but let these players go out there and give 100% performance, and then when they wear down halfway in the second half, then you bring on the substitutes.
Would you give another goalkeeper a chance?
No.
Phillip?
I would. The only advantage I see that Jan Michael has over Marvin is that he commands his defense a lot better than Marvin. This is a game where you need a lot of preventative care. So you need your goalkeeper that is speaking and directing and outing fires before they actually start. And that is where Jan Michael actually has the advantage over Marvin. I don't think that they are too far in terms of their ability and their shot blocking ability. Both are very weak on cross balls. But I think in terms of how Jan commands his defense and controls his defense, I think that is where his advantage is. And we need that in this game.
What do you guys think this game going to look like? Let's play the game. By halftime, we would be up two and so on. Just play the game. What do you think the game would look like?
It'll look like a normal Costa Rica game, which is first 15 minutes,
15, 20 minutes pressure.
they will be pressurizing us all over the place and playing at a fast pace, and we have to weather that storm. If they get their goals, they're well on their way to having a comfortable win. If they don't get their goals, and judging from what has happened against Panama, the crowd will start to get a little restless. Our players will get a little more confident. They will back off, and because they can't keep that up for 90 minutes, and we're going to get some chances. Now, where I've been disappointed in our team is that when we get dead ball situations, the dead ball situations, we have to take maximum advantage of, because that is where we have a chance of scoring, especially with if Kenwin Jones plays. We have a 6-footer who could jump. That's one thing Kenwin Jones could do. He can jump, but he's not often the person who's the target in those situations from corners or from free kicks. And we also have 2 6-footers in the back.
Correct.
You know, with Cyrus
And Batu.
and Batu.
Cyrus is 6-footer?
Cyrus is 6'4".
The Trinidad team, to be on average, there are quite a few guys on the roster. You look at Cyrus, Batu, Johanse, it had Carlisle Mitchell. There were quite a number of guys who were 6 feet. You know,
Bato doesn't look like a 6-footer.
Yes,
they don't, but they're like
Yeah.
6'1",
He's about
bridging
6'1",
on it.
6'2".
And we should be taking advantage of dead ball situations if we have more than one.
Doc, as you brought up dead ball situations, I realize Kenwin Jones' starting position on dead ball situations. He is there in the middle where a player could hold his pants, hold his jersey. He's not trying to come from on
deep.
top the box or something like that, where he has some space where he could come with power. He is. So I don't know if that is planned that he is there, but I think it's
you would
advantage for him
think
to
that
be.
dead ball situations,
It's
that's
things they
one
would
area
work
that is
on.
planned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obvious.
Most coaches spend a lot of
A time with that.
on
So,
dead ball
so
situations.
I think his starting position, especially for corners, it's
I think what happens, and this is just from, little interactions with the previous coach, I think it's actually planned, because what happens is that most of the times the guys, when the defenders score, when it has been Marshall, Batu, and all these other guys, when they scored headers, they were the ones coming in.
so he's a distraction.
He's a distraction, because what happens is, chances are if you pull him, he's able to still, mount and get over the guys, but all the attention goes on Kenwin, and they kind of take their eyes off some of the other guys who run in onto the headers. And I think in more times than less, it has worked to his advantage.
To add to Doc's analysis and evaluation, we would also get 1 or 2 chances in that first half, just like we did in the US, just like we did in the US game. And if we take one of those chances, we will get. Trinidad always creates chances, and if we take 1 or 2 of those chances that we get, even under the mounted pressure that we would be in the first half, we would get chances. And if we take 1 or 2 of those chances, it will allow us some space.
So us getting a goal early could change the whole climate of that game, right?
I am actually scared about us getting
Well,
one early because
a goal always changes,
It changes a lot.
the outlook of a game. Not necessarily for the team that has scored. It could always work against you. But, I mean, given how we have played and our results, I mean, a goal would do a lot for our psyche. Especially if it comes against the run of play, away from home. I mean, that shoots your confidence level up tremendously. But like anything else, to manage a game at 0-0 is different from managing a game at 1-0 where you're up, depending on the time that you score. It's a whole different mental and psychological approach. So hopefully, but one of the things that I have mentioned about this particular team, and it showed itself.
Costa Rica or Trinidad?
Trinidad,
Yeah.
sorry, Clarky, is in the September game when we played US in Jacksonville, and we had a Jekyll and Hyde performance where it was a decent performance in the first half and a total collapse in the second half. And one of the things that stood out in that game is that there was nobody on that Trinidad team that stepped forward and try to take charge and show some sort of leadership qualities on the field. You know, some personality that could have said, hey, listen, we can't let this happen. Let's get this done. Let's do this.
But
nobody showed themselves. No, no, we don't have anybody.
Oh.
You know, but nobody showed themselves. And so I'm coming back to the Costa Rica game. If we were to score early, you really do need somebody to step up to say, okay, this is how we're going to manage this lead. Do we have such a personality in this present team? Off the top of my head, the answer is no.
And that is why, Alvin, it is so important that John Michael Williams starts, because that is a problem. And I personally think that the reason he continually starts in front of Marvin Phillips is because of that ability to talk and control a little bit. He is the only one that does that on the team.
I am all for that. I am one, as a coach, I always said I would choose my #1 goalkeeper, and other than injury or consecutively bad performances, that #1 goalkeeper stays.
Yeah.
Incidentally, against Costa Rica, we are going to see one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He just came off playing in the Champions League. And he is in top form. It is not easy to get past him. Keylor Navas from Real Madrid and Costa Rica. He's not easy to score on. He reads the game very well. He commands his defense very well. It's not going to be easy to get a goal. I have spoken about this before. Statistics have shown at this level, where teams are not that far apart in ability, the team scoring first, 75% of the time, you do not lose. So you may get a draw, you may not win, but you don't lose. So the best chances of us getting a result out of this game is if we go on top.
And we take one of those early chances.
We need to take a break, but I want you guys to think about this. And when we come back, we can discuss it. We have scored 2 goals and give up 8. Costa Rica has scored 7 and give up 3. So let's talk about that when we come back. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Trinidad in this hex is still considered the team to beat for all the rest of the teams when they played. If you listen to the comments, you know, of most of the technical people.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Welcome back, viewers. Hey guys, before the break, like I said, we've scored 2 goals, we've given up 8. Costa Rica scored 7 and given up 3. So they're obviously good offense, good defense, and we are bad offense and bad defense. So how is that going to play out?
Well, you just have to look at our record again. The records don't lie. Just like America, our record against Costa Rica is not very healthy. Just the one win, as Doc mentioned, I think that was the '91 Gold Cup. And you know, this present team that we have, the modern game, you can't blame defenders all the time when you concede goals, because sometimes, sometimes there's a breakdown in the defensive attitude and posture even from the strikers. If you look at the Pulisic second goal, he actually picked that ball up from top of their 18-yard box and ran all of 60 yards. You know, so I mean, you can't blame your 4 defenders entirely. But having said so, Trinidad in this hex is still considered the team to beat for all the rest of the teams when they played. If you listen to the comments, you know, of most of the technical people what they think about the Trinidad when they're playing against Trinidad. They expect to pick up points against us and not just a 1-0 win or anything like that. And we have shown that we are prone to concede goals, right? Playing away from home, even more so. So the Costa Rica scenario is going to be a case where we could expect, if players are not on top of their game, concentrating for the 90 minutes, then there is a strong possibility that we will continue to concede. And then having conceded, do we have the ability to now cancel out those goals by ourselves scoring? And we have shown that in the previous games that we cannot do it, right? Whether it is down to personnel, as Clarky keeps intimating, or it's down to formation, right? That could be debated from now until Russia turns up. But obviously, we have got to keep our eye on our defensive posture. Most people would tell you that you need to start from your defensive line first. Prevent goals from scoring, and then you try to score. As Doc says, if the team that scores first in 75% of the cases usually does not lose, then that is something that we could look at. How you flesh it out on the field, that's the job for Dennis. And Dennis, of course, will have to manage the players at his disposal. And we are hoping, as Trinidad and Tobago citizens, that we can do that and come away with a good result, which would be a draw, and a fantastic result, which would be a win.
Panama is managing very good because Panama scored 2 goals, but they've given up 2 goals, and one of those is with us. So Panama is doing great as a defensive team. So you could manage, if you don't score a lot, you could still manage defending very well and not giving up a lot. So what do you think, Kalaki?
Again, I would start in terms of the coaching strategy on defense. In the past games, Kenwin Jones always walks back. And if you defend as a team from the half line, and that will be my defensive strategy for this game, drop off to the half line and start defending there, not running after their defenders in terms of, so we stay very compact. It is very important in this game to stay very compact, where it is that if, right, we can assist, right, our players, right, a lot better. In that way, we would be able to launch our own attack. I am very, very optimistic that with the attacking players that we have, especially if we, right, with the team that I suggested, that we can get goals. We can get goals. And if it is that we stay very compact from the half line and we're not open and we close as much gaps as we could, we would win the ball in midfield and we will be able to, right, launch our own attacks. I as a goalkeeper, I always like to marshal my defense from, right, my attackers. And therefore, if it is that we get the attackers coming back to help as the first line of defense, I think that will be a major, major, major plus for us in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the guys just have to be firing on all cylinders. They have to play for each other. You know, it's one of those teams that it's going to be like most of, you know, when we play the Mexico and these other teams, they're really just going to keep attacking. And I think our players are able to match up one-on-one. And when the players are unit, just as well. I think what we have to also remember is I think the difference with us and Panama at some stages that we have, from the transition with coaches, we have seen to an extent a change in some of the defenders. Some of our guys are no longer with the team. You know, have the Carlisle Mitchell who's been injured for a while. But there was a time with the previous coach where we were seeing consistently a group of defenders that were able to carry us on a good run in 2015 and even before that. And I think we're going through a little transition period where we're bringing in some new faces, some younger ones, and they haven't really adapted to all the teams that we play in our region yet. And I think that is probably where we're seeing some of the problems right now. But Costa Rica, you know, you've seen them in some of the top tournaments, and they're really a team that they're going to come running, but I think offensively we are okay, and I think we are prepared to deal with them. I think our problem could be defensively, because the reality is the guy that you all are talking about, who would be that guy to bring the flair to the team, we probably can't pick him out right now. The good thing about the experiment that we saw with the previous game is that we sort of remember Nathan Lewis. Even if he wasn't successful at all the attempts he tried, we remember him because we saw somebody, you know, trying some things, trying to dribble, trying to get past, and we remember that. And maybe for the next game, he would get through, he would be a little more confident. The guy that you're asking to Mark Ruiz, I don't know who is that one guy we could sacrifice to say, run with him for the entire game, because Highland is not the fastest guy. So could he keep up with him? And if he does keep up with him, because of the game that we saw, Kevon George wasn't really keeping up with some of the US guys. Do we really send Kylan and then just have one guy? So I think...
No, well, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't.
No, we have to... I think the personnel... What I'm saying is that the personnel, we have to be very careful in terms of how much changes to some extent because of what Costa Rica is going to bring to us.
Yeah.
And I think the play that you're saying with the triangle around us, I actually think our guys, when we play as close as possible, when we have Highland and Molino and Jovin and all these guys close, they are able to mimic that. Because when they play us close, they get into a zone of football that we've seen it, you know, we've seen the results of it for quite a few games before, that when they get to play their little style of football passing with each other, they could keep up with the Costa Ricans. My concern is just in the defense. How good are we at stopping them or when they start that style of play?
So you guys think there's only one player in Costa Rica?
No. He is just the guy that is going to take away one of us.
This is an exceptional player who has flair, who has a
speed,
vision. He's quick. He can kick the ball. He's a finisher.
He's technically gifted.
He's technically gifted. And he's the best player. He's the best player in the CONCACAF region.
And he's in the midfield.
And he's in midfield. And he has the freedom to go anywhere he wants.
Right.
He's a skipper. He keeps everything else in control.
Yep.
And most of the way he plays, a similar thing. I remember Trid Talk. Issa used to do the same with Larry. And before him, he used to with Span. Everything had to pass through them. And if you go and watch them, you say, Larry Joseph mustn't play. Leroy Span mustn't play.
Right.
And then you realize when you don't get them to play, your team drops down. He mustn't play. He must give up the ball. Ball comes to him. He must not be able to look up and spread balls all over the place. He must give it up or especially give it back. Give it backwards.
And Doc, that is, I play this right side by side defensive midfielder with Stuart Charles. That is why I'm hoping that he does that. When we played in the CONCACAF Club Championships and we played against teams right from Mexico and so on, we played this two defensive midfielders side by side, especially when we had very gifted attackers coming at us. So instead of one guy running all over, he will hand him off. It is not as easy as it sounds, as it's just a position. But it's right, but it was very effective.
Cause confusion, though.
Yes, it could cause confusion, but it can also be very effective.
Right.
It depends on the person who.
And how Highland and George has been playing, they seem to have some sort of chemistry.
They do.
Yes, right. They seem to have some sort of.
But handing off, that means you would stay with the same team, but we'll keep an eye on him and hand off. I think Alvin is talking about
man marking.
Bringing a man.
Correct, yes.
He has to be the zest man with all the speed, conditioning, physical, gifted, or whatever, to stay with this man and don't give him a kick.
We don't have that. And we don't have good tacklers at the ball, so we'll create plenty fouls and we'll have plenty dead ball situations.
I think if you give George that job and let Highland, if you give George a job to do that.
George is a little one that plays ball back. Yes, he is a
defensive midfielder.
The guy can
he's a nashy.
He's a niggling player.
Give George to do the job.
Foot in like that pose.
And you'll find maybe George might come up with the game of his life. One of the things that Costa Rica always impresses me with is their spacing. We talked about us playing triangle football and getting through the opposition's defense. Costa Rica, they space themselves very well such that you can't get too defenders close to the man who has the ball. You know,
That's why we have to drop back
yeah,
and play from the heart.
Yeah, because they are well spaced from each other,
Right.
and often they put themselves in situations where they 1v1 with a triangle situation, and they will look to play 1-2s around you, especially in the middle of the pitch all the time.
And that's why they advance easily.
And they always like to go to wide positions. Those two fellas stick to the line, the wide midfielders, the wingbacks. They stick to the line and they're always available. And sometimes they will go cross field with a 30-yard or 40-yard ball and change the play, change the line of attack, and you have to adjust defensively quickly. And if you don't, that attack is going down that side.
And one of the weaknesses of Trinidad defensively, we are not really good at tracking our players. So, I think somebody, was it Angus, who mentioned it, we like to cheat. When we say we have a man, we have him, yes, until the ball is played to him, and then we realize we didn't really have him because we was hoping the play would have breakdown before we had to run him. So those are simple little things that at international level you get punished for. I mean, Highland miscontrolled one and it just stepped away a few. 2 passes later, we are conceded. So it calls for a lot of defensive discipline that has to be worked on the training pitch. You know, going with your man, you know, there's a 1-2. Make sure and stick with your player as the case may be. So all those things, I'm certain, has been picked up by Dennis. You know, of course, you still need the discipline of the player on the field to carry out these instructions.
Right, Larry, you weren't here on the program that I mentioned that was one of our main problems. The character of the player. And we always say that professionalism is an attitude. It's not because you get paid you become a professional.
That's right.
And that character of doing your job and doing it to the fullest of fullest of your ability. We really lack that. We really cheat, and we really lack that.
So like I said, we don't play combatively. We play competitively.
Yes.
But we don't go like it's war.
It's war.
This is like country against country, and we need to give our blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. All right, we're boiling down to the end of the show now. So I always want to take time to hear what you guys think the scores is going to be.
So because you was a forward, you always want to know what the score is.
Right. So I'll start with you, Larry, since you opened up your mouth first. What do you think the score is going to be?
Well, my analytical heart tells me Costa Rica 2-0.
2?
Yeah.
2-0?
Yeah.
Ooh, lovely.
For me, I actually, this time analytical and patriotic, I'm going with a 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw?
Yeah.
You friends with
No. No, but I think the guys, that attitude that you want with the war, I think for some strange reason, I think at this point, this is the turning point for the team, whether bad or good. I think the coach will enforce how important this particular game is because it sets the tone for the rest of the campaign.
Really? Okay. Well, let me give you...
After this one, if it doesn't, I think the optimism may go out the window.
Let me give you a better friend of the president.
I have a contingency attached to my score. If Kenwin Jones does not play,
I like your contingency, Clarky.
If it is Kenwin Jones does not play, and we use the front five as suggested here, the combination, I think we'll win 2-1. If Kenwin Jones play, I think we will lose 2-1.
2-1?
Yes.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean...
You really see who the friends are, because I stayed with a draw and we went with a win, so okay.
I went with a win, but if Kenwin Jones plays, we will lose 2-1.
Going in with the escape hatch, boy.
But Narada spoke about, a draw against Costa Rica giving us the impetus to go to the World Cup. Yeah. The last time we went to the World Cup, actually, we got a draw against Costa Rica. That was the stimulus.
What's the score?
That was it at home.
True.
But unfortunately, that won't happen this time. We will get beaten I agree with Larry, 2-0. And I don't see us getting any points out of this game.
Okay, guys, we've come to the end. I want to thank ACTN for giving us the opportunity. I want to thank you guys again for your analysis on the, or your breakdown on what we expect. Viewers, don't forget to tune in every Monday night at 8 o'clock. We do have a Facebook page. Check us out. We do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. Drop us a line. My name is Steve David. Show is ended. Go in peace. I'll see you next Monday night. Good night.